So for freshers who don't know anything about Oxford or any of its societies, could you just briefly explain what the Media Society is and what you guys do?
Yeah, of course. So the Media Society, we actually originally started in 2004 and we ran until 2014. And then we were relaunched in 2018, and we are a free society, so anyone can join. And we host speaker events mainly. So we try and get every week somebody in, maybe from marketing, maybe a journalist, advertising, PR, kind of covering the whole very broad spectrum of marketing and media. And then from there, we also have a podcast. So that was something we started up during lockdown, again, kind of covering and talking to interesting people across the media. We also run a blog, and we have networking events and kind of what skills workshops, and really kind of helping anyone who's interested in media, wants to join the media, is interested in a career, is just generally interested. And so we try and cater for all of that, really.
Okay. So presumably, are you planning to have speakers again this term, but just do the kind of speaking events remotely, or how are you adapting to the pandemic?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think ironically for Media Society, a digital term was never going to be easy, but we've pivoted from our normal format of just bringing speakers to Oxford, and instead we're doing it on Zoom, which should be super fun and super accessible. So again, the same kind of timings, like 6 p.m. Wednesday. In general, like look out on our Facebook and our website to check those timings. And then that's really where the kind of the podcast and the blog have also really taken off as a way to kind of get more students involved, and anybody who joins the Media Society can write for our blog as well. And so that's been kind of a different way, in the sense that we've just pivoted a lot more digitally online.
Yeah, I suppose that's very useful, because you've got the people who are kind of your audience are also exactly the kind of people who want to take an active role in doing that kind of thing for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that our audience tends to be very, very broad. We definitely get a lot of student journalists, but also people who are interested in maybe strategy consulting, or kind of interested in advertising, or just generally interested. It's a very low commitment. There's nobody demanding any deadlines. If you want to turn up to one talk a year, well, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So that's actually something I want to talk about, is how broad the term media is, especially these days. Because obviously in the past it would have just meant newspapers or TV programs, but as you've alluded to, in the digital age, media is such a more broad term. So it sounds like you are kind of adapting to like new media and kind of YouTube, streaming, blogs, and things like that. Is that what people are kind of more interested in now?
Well, I think the core of what we've done has always been our speaker events, and definitely something that always comes up either as a question or when we're in discussion is kind of this new media. Like I said, when we were founded back in 2004, the internet was kind of slowly ticking along, but we hadn't really had that revolution yet. And so I think it's definitely gone on, a lot more broad than when we were first founded. But I feel like we do try and cover as much as we can. We have traditional kind of broadcast journalists and that kind of thing. We had Nick Robinson, we've had Rita Chakrabarti. We've also had kind of authors, we've had Scarlett Curtis, we've had the creator of Top Boy, so we've had Ronan Bennett. And then alongside that, we've also had kind of executives from Vice Media, for example. We've had documentary makers, we've had kind of executives from the publishing industry, executives from social media platforms. So we've had kind of executives from Snapchat and Spotify as well. So in that sense, it is very broad, but we do run a lot of events, and there's a lot going on. So hopefully that also means that there's something for everyone.
When I at my freshers fair, when I had the Media Society pitched to me, it was described as like the union but free. And I guess I can kind of see that if you put on, you have similar speakers. But is that what you're aiming for? Kind of a more inclusive version of the union where people can see really interesting people speak for free?
I mean, I can't speak for the union, but inclusivity is really important for us, because obviously historically the media industry has not been the most diverse place, and we are free. That's very important to us. We'll always be free. The only thing you need to do is sign up with your email, and that's literally so we can make sure you're an Oxford student. Nothing more malicious than that. And we're currently funded by The Economist, and we're in partnership with Bright Network. And so that's how we fund the Media Society. So we've never asked for money from our members. And that's really important to us. And then it's really also important for us to get kind of underrepresented people to come and speak, people who've really made waves as well. So as well as kind of the traditional journalists that you might think of, it's also important for us to welcome kind of new media outlets and people who might not have traditionally been seen in the media. And in that sense, inclusivity is really important to us.
Okay, so do you make an effort to have diverse speakers on as well? Obviously diverse in terms of the media that they do, but also diverse as in the actual kind of speakers themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously diversity is a problem in the media industry.
Yeah, it is. It's super important for us. I think there is always the issue of trying to strike a balance kind of between unfortunately, the very big well-known names in media tend to be kind of exactly who you'd expect. But there are thousands of people doing really cool, interesting stuff. And if we can be like one small part of bringing them along and having them to chat about what they do and kind of giving them more exposure that way, then, that we'd be so happy to have that happen.
Yeah, no, I imagine as we've already mentioned how broad the media is. There's so many kind of niches and different, varieties of different like media outlets that cater to such kind of specific audiences and see such interesting different things. It must be really fun being able to have that like kind of freedom to have basically whoever you want on. There's such a wide range of like really interesting topics and things.
I mean, I guess maybe that's where the comparison to the union comes from, in the sense that, of course, we do try and limit within reason who we think falls under the media banner. A lot of people do. And I think any way you twist it, it can be anywhere from a kind of a politician to a journalist to an executive at social media. And that's really fun. I mean, I'd much rather have it that way. And I'd much rather feel like we are kind of catering to lots and lots of different interests. And in that sense, so yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, cool. That's pretty much all we've got time for. So just one last question. So you mentioned that you've got your blog and your podcast. So where can freshers kind of find out more about the Media Society? Where would you recommend they go?
Yeah, so if you head over to our website, so that's oxfordunimediasoc.com, then you'll be able to find all of this and much, much more, or you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our podcast is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And again, if you just type in Oxford University Media Society or Oxford Uni Media Soc, either will get you straight to us. So
cool. That sounds great. Well, thank you very much for your time.